Hey everybody, how's it going? So this is going to be an unboxing portion of the Power A Fortnite Special Edition controller. Dang, I really forgot the name of this controller, but this happens to be the Fortnite edition of Power A's new flagship controller. Dang, how did I forget the name already? It's like the name of the controller is nowhere on the box. It just says Fortnite, Fortnite, Fortnite. But yeah, so Power A has made an elite controller that's for the Xbox and for the PC. The controller supposedly comes with Hall of Fame joysticks, 4 programmable back buttons, trigger stoppers, the whole 9. It's supposed to be a wireless controller for Xbox as well, which is a major plus. So, and this controller is only like $100, so I'm curious to see like how they were able to do that. But yeah, this is Power A's Fortnite edition. For this, dang, I know I'm gonna have to name the title for this controller, but right now it just says Power A Fortnite. But this is this is a part of like a Fusion something. I think a Fusion 3 or Fusion 4 Pro. I'll get the name eventually and put it in as a title. But without further ado, let's unbox this controller. You know, as a fun fact also, I have never played Fortnite. I don't know why, I just never had the time to. So, yeah, this is going to be an interesting controller that I got for Power A. All right, let's open the box up. And oh, dang, that's a heavy cable. Nothing else in the box. USB-A to USB-C with, a cord strap. Actually, looking at this, yeah, it's about, 6 feet. A 6 feet USB-A to USB-C cable. Here it is, Power A wireless controller for Xbox Series S and X. Dang, you don't got a name? What is the name of this controller? I forgot the name and it's bugging me. Yeah, looks like it has a synchronization. And, a how-to. Okay, so it shows you all the buttons. Basically what does what. Advanced game button reprogramming. Okay, so it teaches you how to reprogram the buttons and it teaches you how to use trigger locks. And it has a profile control button, so that's pretty cool. And also look here, you also get a little app to download to be able to customize this controller. Or actually, I'm sorry, QR code for a user guide. So that's pretty interesting. But yeah, it looks like you get a how-to for everything, flipping it over, telling you how to hook it up to the PC. And you telling me this works wirelessly with Xbox without the dongle? Interesting. Oh no, I'm sorry. No, you have to plug the dongle in first, then hit the power button. I thought so, but without further ado, let's knock that out the way. And we got the controller itself, and first I gotta say is interesting. I do like a crazy like punk design of this Fortnite controller. It actually looks pretty cool. Let's see. Okay, so the anti-friction rings feel really nice on this controller. These joysticks feel a little small, I ain't gonna lie, but they feel really good though, like really, really good. And these are supposed to be Hall of Fame joysticks, so that's a plus. D-pad's regular min-preen D-pad. It feels okay. It's not bad, but it's not good. It's like an okay D-pad. It has a nice little roll to it. Yeah, it looks like I will be able to get the little lean and roll in, so that's good. AVXY are just regular membrane buttons as well. The buttons stick out pretty far outside the shell, so pushing buttons should be no problem. Start select, we already know what that is. Looks like you get the mic volume thing, so you can increase the volume of your mic and decrease the volume of your mic, and to press it to mute it. That's pretty cool. No, this shell definitely doesn't come off. I was curious. Let's see. The LB and RB pretty much feel this normal. Left trigger and right trigger But I feel fine. I got a nice little resistance to it. Let's check out the back of this controller. So the back of this controller looks like you have 4 programmable buttons, 2 here and 2 here. And it's funny because when I was holding this controller, these were the 2 that I was constantly pressing. So they're not in a bad position. They're actually in a very comfortable position, but it's just that you're going to have to adjust your grip with using this controller. So if you're somebody that like heavily grips your controller, you might want to learn how to loosen your grip, especially around these 2 fingers. Because as you see, like it's perfectly sits with my middle finger and my ring fingers. So just be mindful if you do use this controller, you may want to have a little bit of a lighter grip. So, but other than that, the triggers feel fine. So that's 100% pull, 75% pull, which, I mean, it's noticeable, probably like maybe 25-30% at most. Let's see full. I don't know, that's not a lot. So you got full squeeze, half, and this is full trigger stoppers. So I would say overall, like the trigger stoppers are around it stops 60% of the pull. I would say 60. Yeah, 60 is a comfortable number. I really do hope though when I hook this up to my PC that when I do my trigger stopper, turn my trigger stoppers on, that this actually registers it as 100% pull rather than just it's just a piece of plastic. Because if it's just a piece of plastic, that will suck. So, and looks like you got a map AGB button to map the programmable back buttons, and profiles button to switch between profiles. So yeah, this controller, it feels very light, like an extremely light controller. And it feels very cheap too, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, the controller feels comfortable in the hands. This like a little texture rubberized grip is nice, but definitely one of the cheaper pro controllers. But it is a wireless controller with 4 programmable buttons, which for $100, which is rare for Xbox consoles. So I guess they cut corners on the plastic and the build quality because it really does feel cheap. But I'm really curious to see how this controller performs. So yeah, without further ado, we're going to do an input latency test, joystick accuracy test, the whole full 9, because I'm actually very curious to see how this controller performs, especially since it being a wireless wireless controller for Xbox that's third party for $100. This is probably the cheapest you could probably get. Without further ado though, let's move on with this video.
Hey guys, how's it going? So here we are, next input tester. As you see, I got the controller right here with all the buttons all working perfectly fine. And without further ado, we're going to do a joystick accuracy test. So let's do this joystick accuracy test and see how accurate these joysticks are. So just by one small circle. All right, looks like... All right, let's see if I can get this any higher. Can I get this any higher? Can I go any higher than this? Nope, it looks like this is the max amount error rate I can get. So it looks like the joysticks have like an error of around 14.1%. But actually, if you look at the circle, it looks like it's like even all the way around, which to me is okay. Looks like it has like the little square index as far as these joystick accuracy goes. And for this, I actually don't mind this at all. As long as the circles even out around the error rate, that's all that matters to me. And it does cover the whole circle, even exceeding it a little bit. So yeah, I have no problem with this. But yeah, these are the accuracy of the joysticks. Now let's do an input latency test with this controller. All right guys, so here we are, our next input tester. So now we're going to test out the input latency of this controller. Right now the controller is hooked up with the USB-C dongle, and without further ado, let's give this a go. All right, I see a lot of 3.8, 3.9s, 3.8s. All right, looks, whoa. Wait a minute. Average of 28, that is completely wrong. I can see that the maximum output has literally ruined this pulling rating. This is definitely around a 250 pulling rate with an input latency around 4 milliseconds, because this maximum outlier right here literally threw all of this off. Actually, let me restart this to see if I can get a better input latency. All right, so here we are with starting the second one. Let's see if I can get anything better. Oh, I saw that giant outlier. I saw it. All right, so it looks like we got a smaller maximum outlier, which is the only outlier of this whole chart. And it kind of skews the average because of how high this maximum is. But I would definitely say that this controller aims for around 250 polling rate with an input latency of around 4 milliseconds. Yeah, don't read this. This is not a good reading because of this maximum right here. But yeah, I'll have to say this controller is really good with this wireless connection. But without further ado, let's test the wire connection of this controller. Alright guys, so here we are back with X Input Tester. Now I got the controller hooked up via USB-C to USB-A cable to my PC. Let's see what the polling rates are for this wire connection. Alright, it's not that bad. Looks like it's getting a little bit of 2s. Okay, so the polling rate only had like 2 or 3 outliers out of 1,000. Average input latency of 3.91 milliseconds with a polling rate of 255. Looking at these numbers are pretty tight, which is a good thing. So I have to say, like, yeah, I definitely do like these numbers for the input latency for using this controller with a wire connection. All right, moving along. Hey guys, this is Nabby here, and real quick, I actually want to do another wireless input test, but with the difference with this test versus the first test is that I actually have a headphones plugged into the headphone jack, and believe it or not, this headphone jack actually affects the input latency of this controller while in the wireless dongle mode. So without further ado, I'm actually going to show you guys real quick. So we're about to do input latency test for 1,000 samples, and watch this. Well, I started a little bit early, but look at these numbers. Now have you noticed, as soon as I plug these headphones in, besides don't ignore this maximum isn't really a very accurate description. If you haven't noticed, with this headphone jack in, I actually have increased the input latency, where you see a couple of 7s popping up and a couple of 11s, a couple of 15s, a couple of 15s, 7s, 11s. Like, yeah, like it's just crazy to see. But yeah, if you were to plug your headphone jack into this controller, even though this will allow you to talk over to your friends, this actually will increase the input latency of this controller with a wireless connection. Now I did test this with a wire connection, and the wire connection, it was still the same. But if you are using this controller wirelessly with the dongle and you put your headphones in, expect your input latency to go up with this controller. It's just something to point out for those people who want to use the headphone jack of this controller. And I'm glad I'm actually was able to catch this during like testing this controller. So without further ado, let's move along with this video. Alright guys, real quick, I'm going to show you guys how to program one of the 4 back buttons on this controller right here. So it's actually really easy to do. So what you want to do is actually hold this mapping key for 2 seconds. Once you see the LED start blinking, you want to press a button that you would like to use as a mappable button. So I'll say X, and then you just click on the corresponding button that you like to map it to. For me, it's going to be here, and there you go. That's how you map buttons on this controller. Alright guys, real quick, I want to talk about the trigger stoppers on this controller, because the trigger stoppers on this controller is very unique compared to other controller. So as you see, I got the trigger stoppers right here. Right now they are turned off where I can actually do a full squeeze on the triggers. And you see this bottom button right here that says profiles. You would think that this is like a profile to switch between like the back buttons. No, this is actually a profile for the trigger stoppers. So as you see right now, I have full squeeze, and if I was to say, for instance, put them at like halfway percent, you would notice that I will stop around like 80 to 90%. And if I do a full-fledged trigger stoppers where I stop at halfway, it will stop the pull around 40%. Believe it or not, by pushing this profile button, this will actually let you know what profile of the trigger stoppers you're on. Like once you switch from here, you're going to switch over to like the full set of trigger stoppers. You'll notice that this LED will be purple. And look at the triggers now. Now these are full-fledged, like from 0 to 100 triggers with the maximum amount of trigger stopper that's put on. So this is around like 40% pull, but it's registering as 100%. Now, if I want to switch it for halfway, what I could do is hit this profile button again. And as you see, my controller is only registering 80%. That is because you actually got to flip the trigger stoppers to the middle for the yellow profile, and now it registers it as 100%. And if you hit the profile button one more time and you see the blue LED, this lets you know that this is meant for no trigger stoppers whatsoever. So you turn the trigger stoppers all the way off, and you get that full-fledged squeeze. So just to give you guys a heads up, I just want you guys to know like how these trigger stoppers work. I have never seen a controller where they have a profile button dedicated to the trigger stoppers. I mean, I get it, but at the same time, like, just why? Doesn't make any sense to me. Why can't you just make it where you automatically flip the trigger stopper and it automatically profiles the triggers to whatever profile is set on the Switch? But I mean, it is a cheap $100 controller that officially works with Xbox on the with the wireless connection. So I guess beggars can't be choosers, but yeah, that's how these trigger stoppers work for this controller, and this is the first time I've ever seen trigger stoppers work like that before in my life. So yeah, that's how these trigger stoppers work. I also want to talk about the PowerA app that you could download on the Windows Store and in the Xbox Store. As you see, this controller is compatible with the PowerA app, and with the PowerA app, you could do a lot of things. One of the things you can do with this is actually test and calibrate all the buttons on your controllers by testing all the buttons right here, and you can push them all out, and you can even test all the dead zones. So say for instance, if I want to test dead zones for this, I can actually increase dead zones and decrease dead zones. If I wanted to, I can remap all the buttons on this controller, and that includes the 4 programmable back buttons on this controller. I can adjust the triggers on this controllers and actually adjust the 3 profiles for T1, T2, and T3, and also can like do them separately, or I can keep them in sync, which is a cool thing. I can adjust the dead zones of each joysticks for the inner dead zones and the outer dead zones if I wanted to, which again is a really cool thing this app allows you to do. And I'm able to adjust the audio settings for the headphone jack for this controller. And last but not least, I'm able to adjust the motors on the left and right triggers, as well as the motors that are located at the left and right bottom of them. So this is actually really cool that I can adjust the intensity of this. So yeah, that's really cool. And with that being said, that is all the features of the PowerA app for this controller. So I've been using this controller for quite some time, and here are my thoughts about this controller. First off, I'd like to say that this controller is officially the cheapest pro wireless controller you can get for the Xbox Series X and X. The 4 programmable back buttons are actually easy to press and easy to program, which is one thing I really like about this controller. The trigger stoppers, although kind of annoying to program, they perform very well, and it's actually really good that Xbox players have a budget-friendly controller that has trigger stoppers that give them the competitive edge, especially in first-person shooter games. Now, some of the downsides of this controller is, like I said before, the programming the trigger stoppers. The trigger stoppers are just annoying to program, where you have to set the trigger stoppers with the Switch and hit the programming button to actually have them working the way they're supposed to. And also the second downside of this controller is, like I said before, is the input latency is affected by the headphone jack. So if you are to use this controller in wireless mode and you plug in your set of headphones into this controller, then the input latency will be jacked up a little bit, which to me is a downside for this controller. I wish that the input latency wasn't affected with the headphone jack, but it is what it is. I mean, you do get a pro wireless gaming controller for the Series S and X for $100, which again is the cheapest option you can get for a pro wireless controller for Xbox. With that being said, if I was to give this controller a rating from 1 through 10, I'm gonna do like 2 separate ratings. So this controller comes for around 100 USD, and for PC players, I will give this controller a 5 out of 10 because there is another controller that PowerA made that's specifically made for PC that's for 100 USD that gives you 2 extra programmable buttons and a little bit more better features compared to this Fortnite controller. Now for Xbox players, if I was to give this controller a rating from 1 through 10, for Xbox players, because this controller is officially the cheapest pro controller you can get for Xbox Series S and X that gives you 4 programmable buttons and working trigger stoppers, I will say that this controller, I'll give it a solid 6 out of 10. It is definitely a great controller, a great option to use for those people who are looking for a pro controller on a budget. It's cheaper than the core controller and then the elite controller. And honestly, if you really need a controller that is like a pro controller but you're on a budget, then yeah, I could definitely recommend the Fortnite controller. It is slightly above average and you're kind of getting what you're paying for a wireless pro controller. So with that being said, those are my thoughts for this controller. Alright guys, so that's it for this video. If you found this video very informative, you should do me a favor and like this video. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also hit that notification bell to let you guys know when I post my next controller review. It could either be on the mobile side or on the PC side. So definitely hit that subscribe button, like this video, hit that notification bell, and until then, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.